Hello, my name is Mitch, and I draw Blood Force. And we're continuing today with the grandest epic of 1993. Kind of. Generally speaking, an epic. The chapters have something to do with each other. Not so much with Deathmate, but we gave them all our money anyway, at least for this issue. It's Deathmate Black, but first. So what is Blood Force? This is Blood Force. Blood Force is a celebration / send-up of 90s extreme comics. It's itself a comic book. It's drawn by me, and also written by me. It's all me. I'm to blame for this. So you may be asking yourself, how do I go about reading Blood Force? And the answer is, you open up the description to this video. In there you'll find a link to my Patreon. Subscribe there. That will give you access to all of the Blood Force pages. It'll also give you access to all the process stuff. I usually include stuff like just pencils lying out there. You'll get all the videos. You'll also get some pre-Blood Force stuff. All this just for $3 American. It's an absolute steal. And of course, the more subscribers we get, the closer we get to the goal of publishing Blood Force. But that's a ways off. First thing we got to do, baby steps, is we need subscribers first. So subscribe today, read some Blood Force comics, help get Blood Force out on those shelves. And this certainly sounded like I had a third thing to say, but I don't. So Deathmate Black, released optimistically in September of 1993, not quite in reality. I think it was probably early 94. I can't remember, and I can't find a record online of when exactly it was released. But naturally, the Image guys were traditionally late with their entries for the Deathmate series. Not that anybody expected otherwise. So the Black entry, this was the one that was the most anticipated as far as I knew. Me and my friends, at least. I think this was the one we gave a shit about. Nobody really cared about, the Liefeld book or the Valiant books. So you get the Black one, you get the epilogue and the prologue. I think I said that at the beginning. What we really wanted to see was, Sylvestrian Jim Lee drawing a bunch of Valiant guys, drawing a bunch of other Image guys. So, I guess theoretically in this, they would be drawing Liefeld characters and I guess Whilce Portacio characters, again, theoretically. They're not really in here. Whilce does get a couple pages, though. But that's not exactly how it went. It was more everybody, all hands on deck, which is how these things tend to go. You always think you're going to get the main guys, but it tends to be a bit more of the not quite ready for prime time players. Although, at very least, the homage side of things... Is this still homage? I think it still is. I don't know if there's anything about Top Cow. Aegis Entertainment. Oh, they got Top Cow, but no Wildstorm yet, so I think this might still all be under the homage umbrella. But yeah, the homage guys tended to be better at this than the extreme guys, at this point at least. So, who all is in on this? Well, oh boy. For story, we've got Brandon Choi plotting, but for script, we got Eric Silvestri. So this is an all-star cast already. Oh boy. And on the art, we've got Brandon Peterson, Brett Booth, Mark Silvestri, Jeffrey Scott, or J. Scott Campbell. I don't know if this is his first printed work. I think it's pretty close, though. Scott Clark, Greg Capullo, for some reason, and then Jim Lee and Whilce. And I think it's pretty much in that order, too. Because we're starting off, it says Brandon Peterson. These first few pages look like some Brandon Peterson. Particularly stuff like this. But we get our recap here saying what's happening. Solar's sad. And he had a split personality kind of deal go on. And then his doppelganger went and smooched on Void. And that unraveled reality somehow. They still don't really describe exactly how that happened, and I don't know that they ever really do. It's more just, their love will end all time. It's a good tagline. Yeah, but what does that mean? It means their love will end all time. Shut up and read the book. And Jeff and Prophet are assembling something to do something. We didn't see Jeff or was it Jeff? Yeah, Jeff the Geomancer or Prophet in Deathmate Yellow. Spoilers, we don't see either of them in this one either. Jeff shows up in blue, Prophet shows up in red. And honestly, they don't do a whole lot of assembling from what I saw. Anyway, so we're going to start off with standard wall full of text. If you read any Wildcats or any Cyberforce, this is like an old friend. It's like just slipping into a well-worn leather jacket. And it tells you everything, I guess. It's done in the most obtuse way possible. But, yeah, okay. City above the city, the suspended city, whatever the deal is. That's where the Troika hangs out. The Troika in this is, it's like super-powered gang kind of thing. You know, like they run the town. And Exo Man of War is kind of their main enforcer kind of deal. They've got a bunch of superhumans just kind of hooked up to a machine. And it looks like these are some of the superhumans here. So we've got that little girl version of Void, and Killjoy, and I think her name was Misery, and Emp. And then Battalion from Stormwatch. They're all hooked up to some machine that Union is also hooked up to. And they're all being addicted to, what do they call it? Some cosmic juice from an entity known as only as Union. So they're addicted to Union's juice. So that's a good thing to know. All right, and this is all started off from Fairchild's point of view. This is the introduction of Gen 13. So that's why one of the reasons this issue is still somewhat considered a big deal, apparently. And Gen 13 in this are rebels of some kind. They're like guerrilla soldiers. They seem to be equipped with some sort of powered dampeners that they're able to shut off occasionally. And that's what they're about to do here. And Mother May I from Cyberforce is landing at Sky City, which is Gen 13's cue to attack. And again, wall of text. Look at all this shit. You remember Deathmate Yellow? Check out how Deathmate Yellow started, if we forgot. It's starting to rain. That's kind of intriguing, you know? And you get a little bit of dialogue, yeah, but they don't bury you in lore. And really, they shouldn't. It's a 48-page special kind of thing. You kind of pick up what you need to, you know, just to move on to the next page. But you don't need the entire history of the world, and most of it isn't fucking interesting. So yeah, they got some sort of jamming signal for the dampeners, so they're ready to attack. So Fairchild all of a sudden super strong, which I believe happened in the comics. I got the comics recently, the Gen 13 comics. I haven't read them yet. I'll save that for when we do the revisit. That should be in a few weeks. And we got Grunge here and, what's his name? Burnout. Alright. And Freefall, right. And we get, like, not even Claremont-esque descriptions of everything that's going on. This is just the usual Silvestri, I don't know how to fill these balloons, but god damn it, I'm going to fill me some balloons. It's like, yeah, it's the Gen 13 and their leader, Fairchild. They've all been activated, which they said down here. Very observant, Mother May. I bet you didn't even need your powers to figure that out. So, completely unnecessary balloon. But you see, we have ours back now and intend to put them to good use. Obviously. In this case, taking you prisoner and sneaking our way into Gateway with your access codes. Okay, at least we got something, I suppose. Who made it that far, though? I read this earlier today. I don't remember reading that particular word balloon, so it just got turned into glaze. Like, it just got lost in the fog with the rest of this crap. And I should note, I was not a fan, I've said this before, I wasn't a fan of Brandon Peterson at the time. But he's not terrible. Even here. I like stuff like, you know, that's a decent fist. That's a good foreshortened arm. A lot of this stuff is decent structure. This panel's confused or confusing. This one's set up fine. You know, like a lot of the stuff, there's a lot of detail in the background. But the structures are solid. They're a bit stiff from time to time. Well, they're pretty stiff from time to time. But like stuff like this angle, he knows what he's doing there. You've seen me have trouble with that plenty of times. And he does it again here. That looks damn good. That almost looks like Silvestri. It's just he hasn't quite got that gloss yet, but he's very close. Kind of want to check out like some of the latter day Strike Force, is it Strike Force? Codename Strike Force books. I guess we'll get there eventually, right? Maybe. Yeah, see what kind of progress, because I know he's, like I said, he's pretty good these days. But I kind of like to see the progression. Anyway, so, two of the, oh fuck, they're the hardcore in this? No, hardcore is the Valiant. This is the Wild Core. Hard Cats were in yellow. And they also complicate it a little bit further by occasionally making either hard or core an acronym. Or wild or core. Core, in this case, is an acronym. Core shouldn't be an acronym. Wild should be, if anything. Whatever, doesn't fucking matter. Okay, in this case, that's Turok and Ripclaw coming to the rescue. And they're gonna, they're gonna beat them up. They're gonna talk a whole lot while they do it. So Ripclaw is having some second thoughts about killing these Gen 13 teenagers, like slaughtering them like lambs, that kind of thing. And he has to be careful about what he says, or he'll be deemed a traitor. And yada 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 yada. And he is becoming one with the spirit. They say this every once in a while, which causes him to become intangible for a second, and Fairchild goes right through him, which I don't think happens again. It would be useful later on, once or twice. And because of the Great Spirit, or the Spirit, they alternate, Ripclaw can see Fairchild as she's supposed to be, with no headband, as we all are supposed to be. And I believe Grunge and Freefall have already been captured. This is Burnout being killed by the looks of it. And one of the hardcore peoples is gonna... They have a little standoff about what to do with them. She's like, so what do you want to do? And she's like, I don't know, what do you want to do? She's like, it's your call. You're in charge. And she's like, do what you will. I don't want to be in charge. And we may have moved on to Brett Booth now. It's hard to say. I don't know what 1993 Brett Booth looks like. But I think we might have. It's a bit more stiff. Yeah, a little less attention to detail. I think we have. This one's still Brandon Peterson, I think. But no, maybe not this one. Yeah, different kind of cross-hatching here and there. It's interesting because they all have very similar styles. And, of course, Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri have a lot of similarities in their styles from time to time. So everyone's trying to ape off of them. So they do kind of mesh together a little bit here and there. Although later on it'll be pretty obvious who's who. So the first thing they do is they kill Grunge, which sets Ripclaw off. He's not going to stand idly by while that shit happens. Which allows Freefall to leave for a second before what's-her-fucking-face shoots her in the back. And so he's considered a dissident now. Turok has to kill Ripclaw. Ripclaw is like, no, elbow in the guts. Although obviously so much more is happening than what I'm saying. Because, all this dialogue couldn't be here for nothing. Okay, so this one's name is Hotshot. Custom demands that Turok fights Ripclaw alone. It must be settled according to the laws of the tribal nations through trial by combat. Even in 1993, I wonder about, just white guys who just, throw in shit about, laws of the tribal nations. And, the Great Spirit And all that, and like, oh man, really? You're just gonna say that, eh? All right. You wouldn't sure as shit wouldn't do it these days. And so yeah, they have a fight. Turok has his exploding arrows because he's kind of like Hawkeye. Yeah, like I keep thinking like I must be missing stuff because there's so much talking here. But there's really nothing. I have no quarrel with you, Turok. Can you not see they have blinded us to the truth? They have turned brother against brother. And it is you who have turned against me, Ripclaw, and I will listen to no more of your lies. But I shall grant you a warrior's death. And it's, oh my god. Just keep talking. If you keep on talking, we all get paid. And these are, I don't know, these are pretty good approximations of like, this is a very Jim Lee panel. This one could be Jim Lee or Mark Silvestri. That could be Silvestri because he does kind of simplify those fingers, all that stuff. Like this could have been the only panel that really gives it away is this one here. But now we are moving on to the real deal, Mark Silvestri. So interestingly enough, the tech on the arm here gets less detailed, but more convincing, a little bit. I don't know. This is pretty good, but it's just something about this where you're just like, yep, nope, that's real. That was based off of something. He used a model on that, I'm sure. And so Ripclaw falls minus an arm. Did he get the right arm? He did too. Good job, Brett Booth. Every time there's a hand show, it's like, is that the right hand? It is too. All right, good job. But he falls in some trash, and some old lady finds him and fishes him out. And it turns out she's the healer of the underworld, whatever, fuck, Bowery kind of thing. But it turns out she's also Voodoo, which messes with the timeline a bit. But then, you stop and you realize you don't care, so it's fine. And she can see somehow. This is at a point where Voodoo's powers have not been defined, like at all. She has some sort of telepathic deal, which is how she was able to exorcise Dan Quayle. She has some sort of thing where she can become like werewolfy for a second. I really have no idea when it was decided that she was half demonite. It might have been as late as when Alan Moore came on board. Because that is an interesting dynamic. Much more than just, I have some sort of powers and I wear very little clothing. But she can tell that Ripclaw is out of the time stream, and he's seeing things beyond. He's seeing that things are not as they should be. So he's telling the truth, and she's like, okay, cool, so you can go on your way. I'm just an old lady. And he's like, nah, you ain't no old lady. You a hot lady. And somehow that makes her a hot lady, because he said it. Maybe because of her voodoo powers that are undefined. It's hard to say, because the way they do it, it's like, my days of being a hero are over. I'm too old. And he's like, maybe if you only see yourself as I see you, which sounds like it's all about self-perception. It's about what you think about yourself, which I'd like to think is the case where what we see for the rest of the issue is just how Voodoo sees herself. Like, she's still an old lady, but she's got the self-confidence of 20-year-old hot Voodoo. So it's actually some 80-year-old woman running around in the Voodoo costume later on. That would be kind of funny. But see, there you go. That would be something, wouldn't it? But nobody is vomiting, so I guess that's not the case. And so now we're cutting to Maul. We still got some Silvestri going on. Silvestri did a bit on this. This is 6 pages. Not too bad. He still can't keep his own book on time, so good. But yeah, no, they actually got a little bit out of him. That's nice. So this is we're cutting to Maul, who is cutting. I believe he's selling tech or weapons or something to the Troika. He's got to deal with them, but he's also using the same tech and or weapons and sort of smuggling them into the Gen 13 guys. So he's playing both sides of the fence. So Voodoo and Ripclaw show up, and we get a few iterations of, that's Ripclaw. He's a bad guy. No. I read his mind. Okay, cool. Moving on. We get that happening a few times. And this is kind of interesting because they stick Ripclaw in some sort of pod where his arm's back now. And his arm's back for the rest of the comic, so that wasn't just like some sort of slip-up. So I don't know if this is meant to be some sort of Healy pod kind of thing, or, you know, like, we don't even know what the deal is with these arms. Are they like robot arms? What's going on? And they won't explain it to us. So they're just kind of hoping we forget, maybe. And somehow in the Healy pod, Maul determines that the universe is collapsing in on itself. Seriously. This is, the whole thing here is Ripclaw is one of us now. My powers of the sight have verified it. Let's go down to the lab. And then the next bit is, I've never seen anything like it. It's as though the space-time continuum are being ripped apart from the future towards the past. Reality, at least as we know it, is simply blanking out. They got that from the Healy pod, I guess. Or from their space-time continuing monitoring equipment. They don't say specifically. I suppose I should have assumed. And Void's like, oh, fuck, I'm doing it again. Voodoo's like, so how do we stop it? And Maul's like, I don't know. We don't even know what the shit is going on. And by we, he means anybody. Anybody writing it, anybody reading it, any characters in it. So they're going to go to the Sky City, and they're going to break the thing where all the superheroes are hooked up to Union's juice. Shit. And they're going to wipe out the Troika or the Wild Corps or whatever other amalgamations we've come up with in the meantime. And I gotta say, while it was cool seeing a decent amount of Silvestri, we didn't really see anything happening by Silvestri, did we? Like a little bit here and there. Nothing particularly cool. Just, I don't know, just didn't happen to get that one. Oh well. But now we're moving on to Jeffrey Scott, or J. Scott Campbell, and some of his very early stuff. You can tell it's him by the mouth here. And just, little things like how these heads are shaped, how women's heads are shaped. I don't know, something about the legs. There's all sorts of little telltale things. Like, hey, that's J. Scott Campbell. Before he really knew how to draw. He was just a very good amateur at this time. He's actually, he's better than a lot of the guys that are working at Image already, actually. But, okay, so Union is becoming aware that shit's going wrong. He sees here, the dimensional rift continues to grow unabated. It must be stopped before all existence is nullified. I feel like I've heard that before. But I suppose it's good that we know now that Union is aware of it. So Union is gonna, telepathically join with Emp, kinda, or send him telepathic messages that he's gonna shut down his juice infusion. No more strawberry kiwi for you. And Exo is like, there's problems with the machines. Smash it! And that worked somehow. Or maybe Union. I like that. So maybe Union fixed the machines so that they wouldn't read any longer that Emp isn't being juiced. And well, that's a change in style. So we're done with J. Scott Campbell. He only got 3 pages there, right? He must be very new. And we're moving on to Scott Clark, right? Yes, Trevor Scott's the Acre. Man, I confuse those two all the time. But yeah, Scott Clark of Stormwatch, who is immediately recognizable, both for His figures, which are kind of stiff but very statuesque, and his faces, which tend to be very lean and high cheekbones and all that kind of shit. And he loves to pour black all over everybody, and not so much the backgrounds, at least not in this case. So it's interesting because the next one is Greg Capullo, and that's quite the transition. Okay, so they are now going to the Gen 13 hideout, and Maul has changed his outfit to be even more 90s. Ooh. I mean, this isn't even a fucking outfit. And yeah, we get more. It's Ripclaw. He's bad. No, he's good. Oh shit, sorry. And they're going to sneak into Sky City, and Maul doesn't have the security clearance, but somebody does. And they talk a bit here about a sleeper agent. Anyway, we also talked earlier about how Ballistic died of Cyberforce. And nope, she's right here. And she's been hiding out as a nun. Okay. Again, this is kind of unnecessary lore. We don't need a big... Like, all this lore is actually kind of getting in the way a little bit. Because what we needed from this issue was for everybody to, see everybody in a situation and then move towards an objective. So far, we haven't really gotten an objective of any kind. Except for smash the system, rah, rah, rah. But that doesn't do anything about this interdimensional shit, the space-time continuum problem. It just kind of, this is the problem in this world. It's like, yeah, no, we need to smash the Sky City. It's like, okay, so were we just going to, get some dinner or something and wait for the world to end then at that point? Sure, maybe, I don't know. And there's more standing around and explaining the situation. There's a portable jammer so the Gen 13 peeps can still have powers. I like Scott Clark's style. It's not... he didn't get very dynamic pages here. Well, this stuff here, see, it doesn't quite... This is the stuff that he draws over and over in his sketchbooks. It's just faces. People standing stock still, facing forward, facing to the side. That kind of thing. We saw this particular face in his sketchbook. Stuff like this. Stuff like this. This stuff he's a little less sure on. And it comes off not quite as, assured. Obviously. Well, obviously. If he's not assured, it's not assured. Sure? I'm sure. Still looks okay, though. There's really no problems with it. It's just not the same kind of confidence as some of this other stuff. So, Warblade shows up, which is some fun timing. Warblade would have been a valuable comrade at arms for this battle. Yeah, I went up against him once. He almost did me in. Hell of a fighter. Yes, he was a warrior, but he was also an idealist. Last I heard, he'd been caught a week ago. And it's Warblade! All on one page. There's been no mention of Warblade up until now. Although there was mention of the sleeper agent, so we're pretty sure that's who that is. Alright, sneaking into the Sky City, and I guess that's what this is. The sleeper agent. This beacon-activated agent identification classified, etc., etc. And Maul gets hit by arrows, so it's Turok time again. Turok. There we go. And he's going to get attacked by Voodoo here. And again, this is... Really? That's where you put the balloon? I feel like you personally insulted Scott Clark a little bit there. That was the whole point of that fucking page, man. But we get a bit more of not knowing what the hell Voodoo's deal is. So, the strength and speed and teeth and claws of a cat, that's what I must become if I am to defeat Turok in battle. And it's like, is that what being half Daemonite gets you? Nope. Wasn't what this was about back then. This was nebulous powers. And there we go, we're going right to Greg Capullo, and you can tell because all shadow has disappeared. You go... look how much black is on these pages, is on the characters. And then not really much of anything, and all the characters are all of a sudden kind of cartoony. And we don't have any problem with action now. Some of the poses look a little goofy. And some of the guys look a little goofy, actually. But that's okay. It's a little weird that Greg Capullo is doing a homage thing. I mean, before this, what would he have been doing? I'm thinking. I know he did Quasar for a while. He did some X-Force. Probably just before this, actually. Yeah, no, and that style did look an awful lot like this. So maybe this is him sort of testing the waters, getting that image paycheck, seeing what it's like before becoming the main artist on Spawn. Not the worst deal. And anyway, Ballistic kills Turok and kind of chews her out, tells her, like, you got psionic powers. Aren't you an old lady? Don't you know this shit? And she's like, woo, she's right. And, yeah, like, you shut everybody down telepathically. And she has to keep telling her that. She's not very good at this whole superhero thing. She just thought about, you know what I think it is? Is that her outfit is distracting her. She's like, man, I cannot keep these things still. Oh my God. And she can't remember that she's got telekinetic powers, or telepathic powers. And, yeah, we get Ripclaw and Warblade jumping into the fight here against a bunch of Shocks, which are the cyber data troopers. And there's a line in here somewhere about how this feels kind of right, killing Shocks. Because that's what Ripclaw does in his comic. And it turns out Maul isn't dead. Oh, wait. Yes, he is. He kind of managed to slam into all the Shocks here and blow them out the door and just, yeah, we're on the express elevator to hell kind of thing. So the guys who are left now are going to continue on to the control room where, what is this guy's name? It's something goofy, isn't it? It's Superstar. That's fine. I mean, you know. And Voodoo is again going to try and use her cat powers on Exo, which doesn't work even remotely. And Ballistic has to swoop in and again tell her, use your fucking telepathic powers, dickhead. Oh shit, yeah, that's right. I was thinking about my tits again. And she just kind of bloops Eric right out of the Exo Man of War suit. It's a cool shot. It's very well, I don't know, imagined. I'm trying to think if I had to show that. I don't think I do get anywhere near that kind of efficient with the drawing. And so he's gonna just, yeah, he doesn't really have anything, and he's kind of hoping somebody can protect him. And then we're gonna cut to Jim Lee. You really notice these like fidelity switches when we get to one of the main guys. I mean, you know, like, Greg Capullo's pretty good, but, you know, he's not at this level just yet. And who led Mark Silvestri? It was Brett Booth. Yeah, like, there's some big differences in the gear shift. And so Ballistic's just going to shoot shit. I think this guy's name is Gunslinger. Yeah. He's going to reverse the polarity of his shield, and he's going to run into Superstar's shield. And that causes a huge-ass explosion, kills Ballistic, kills Exo as well, because he has no protection anymore. And it also fries Skycore, so none of these, not Hardcats, Wildcore, yes, have any powers anymore. Because she has, so yeah, she has the same deal as Softcore from Deathmate Yellow. You're keeping track of all these names? They're important. And not at all porny. Okay, and now we get an everybody. This is everybody who's left kind of scenario. Just Ripclaw and Warblade and Voodoo. Yeah, I think that's all. They told the Gen 13 guys to get out because they're going to have to lead what's left of the rebellion after these guys are gone, and they got to go after Mother May I in the throne room, probably, right? And Mother May I's having a little hissy fit. And she's going to speak in some just traditional villain dialogue. You're like, impossible! How could a ragtag bunch of rebels come so far? I am surrounded by fools and incompetents! I think I heard Cobra Commander say that before. So they bust into Mother May I's control room. And Mother May I has the power of the Council, which is all the superheroes that were tripping on that onion. And so she's got some sort of power because of that. That's all. I guess there was probably some stuff in there about how that was powering the city or powering something. All the stuff from the superheroes. And now it's just all going directly into Mother May I. And it turns out Warblade is the sleeper agent all along. Oh man, who could have foreseen that? And it turned out that Mother May I did her thing where she kind of telepathically controls people, and sold him some deal on him being or part of the Troika. And Voodoo breaks up her hold on him, and he starts smashing up everything. Mother May I kills Voodoo, and the machine explodes, and Mother May I is the only one still alive, except that Onion and Emp also survived. Oh, Warblade's alive too. Hey, look at that. Good for you, bud. And Union has to go and stop the Deathmate convergence. So he's got his power staff thing here, which he pulls out of his nipple. So yeah, we know he's been aware of this the whole time. I must go now. The Deathmate convergence must be stopped before all reality is ripped asunder into oblivion. Unfortunately, you were the only one of the council I could save. So, but like, who cares? You know, this is the end of this book. None of these characters are going to come back. The question I have, so what happened with Armstrong and Ivar? Because that was the end of their story, was when they met up with Emp in ancient Rome. So Emp being here now, you know, like obviously he's traveling through time as well, just the regular way. But so that kind of indicates that their story, that was the end of their story. Just they went and hid out in the past, which might be the case, but they didn't really say that. But hey, you know, we get somebody who's going to show up at the final confrontation. It's Union, everybody, celebrate! So that's something, because it means this book had some sort of bearing on the epilogue. Deathmate Yellow did not. I went back and checked. None of the characters from Deathmate Yellow show up in the epilogue, so there was no reason for that book to exist. Except for just like window dressing. Just, here, this is the world. Doesn't this world suck? It's like, yeah, it does. Look, nobody can draw. And now there's a power vacuum, and the Gen 13s they're gonna blow shit up. They're gonna blow up the Sky City, because it's drawn by Will Sportatio, and he's not gonna dick around with it. That's a neat composition, although, man, her legs look like it's all thigh. Shouldn't this part be about as long as that, at least? Whatever. But yeah, neat composition. I should steal this at some point. Something like it. And, yeah. Stuff like, the future is uncertain, and the past isn't, and shit, everybody's gonna die, and there goes Union. That's it. Deathmate Black, everybody. Round of applause. And we're gonna get a whole bunch of homage ads here. See, there's some Scott Clark. That's not bad. We get a lot of covers like this. Or like these early Stormwatch covers with people standing and looking imposing. It's alright. Cyberforce Volume 2, Number 1, coming soon. Oh, original art by Mark Silvestri, Dale Keown, and Brandon Peterson, available at Bowie and Board. There we go, good to know. There's that striker ad again. Oh, it's Pogs, everybody! And Wizard issue 27 with the pretty good Jim Lee cover. Better cover than he had on pretty much any of his issues. And that's it. Oh, and we've got Killer Instinct crossover coming up soon. Man, this copy got beat to shit, eh? I'm pretty sure this is my original copy, and it has not been maintained very well. Did not care too much. So that was Deathmate Black. some stuff happened, I guess. It's as is the case with an Image comic, it's more interesting for the art, and checking out these guys at the beginning of their careers in a lot of cases, or in the case of Mark Silvestri and Jim Lee, when they were productive. But it's complete gibberish. Every page is like 3 basic actions split up over 50 word balloons. Every single goddamn page. That is an unpleasant reading experience. I don't think I tried to read this back in the day. I did it today, and you know how many times you have to reset and be like, oh, no, back to the words. Anyway, so that'll do it for Deathmate Black. Join us next time as we check out the other half of the Image contribution with Deathmate Red. That'll be a good time. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. Please hit like if you like this video. Hit subscribe, hit the notifications. Go over and follow me on Twitter. More importantly, go and subscribe on Patreon. That's where all my Blood Force pages go, as well as all these videos. This is where they go when they're as soon as they're uploaded. So the rest of the series, for example, is all uploaded there right now. In the meantime, though, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Shit.